But Steph, I'm going to get into my first fantasy MVP, and this shouldn't be a surprise if you've been watching, following along with Double Move Sports for a while. Mine's Joe Mixon. It is finally Joe Mixon season. And one thing that I know he's going in the middle to late second round, similar to, the ADP of Darren Waller. But what really makes Joe Mixon a fantasy MVP is that he is consistently being slept on and passed over due to this perceived disappointment that he's given fantasy football managers early in his career. And if you look at Mixon, despite fantasy finishes of RB10 and RB13 in 2018 and 2019, you look at last year, he was RB9 through the first 6 games when he was healthy. People are still passing on Joe Mixon in drafts, and they just say, I'm out. There's no way I can draft him this season. And he is being drafted as the RB13. So that's really the lowest we've seen him finish when fully healthy, yet that's where he's being drafted, even though everything in Cincinnati has improved and is pointing upward for Joe Mixon in 2021. If you look at his career, he's been nothing short of a workhorse. Over the last 3 years, over 17 carries and 3.5 targets per game. And the narrative I'm seeing everywhere with that workhorse volume is that Joe Mixon sucks. Like, people are thinking that Joe Mixon sucks, that he's not one of these elite talented backs, but he has tremendous size at 6'1", 228 pounds with a 4.45 40-yard dash time from his pro day coming out of college. So he has the size, he has the speed, he has the elusiveness and the power to do a ton in this Cincinnati backfield. Another big knock on Mixon is the lack of efficiency in Cincinnati, but you look at this team last season, the offensive line was ranked 30th in the NFL. It led to Mixon ranking 42nd in the league in yards before contact per rush attempt. Essentially every time he got the ball, he was just being absolutely swallowed up in the backfield by some of these big defensive linemen. We look forward to 2021. The Bengals drafted Jackson Carman in the second round. They signed Riley Reif on the offensive line as well. So these aren't like cornerstone pieces for the line, but it's 40% new, fresh talent in there that should make this offensive line better looking forward to the 2021 season. So I know the offensive line has been brutal in the past, but even with that, I just mentioned Joe Mixon has finished as a top 13 RB every time he's been healthy with the bad O-line. So now you get those improvements in place, and his efficiency should be even better as we look forward to 2021. And the real reason that I love Joe Mixon for this season, that I just feel like he is a can't miss running back, barring injury, is the receiving workload. To date in his career, I mentioned over the past 3 seasons, 3.5 targets a game. It's okay, but it's not great. And now we finally see Cincinnati moving on from Giovanni Bernard. Giovanni Bernard vacates 59 running back targets in this offense. He was often on the field in those 2-minute drill, those third down situations. So Joe Mixon should see an even bigger target share from Joe Burrow this season in 2021. And Joe Mixon not only should see the target share, but he has the receiving skill set to get it done. He had a great pass catching profile coming out of the University of Oklahoma. And to date in his career, he has a ridiculously high 80.6% catch rate. So now that he should see that increased usage, we know he can get it done in the receiving game. His value and his upside should absolutely shoot through the roof. So when I look at Joe Mixon this season, there's nothing not to like. He has everything you want in a fantasy football running back. He has, the heavy workload and the heavy volume on the ground as a runner. He has the talent himself to post elite production. He is just incredibly well-rounded in his game with power, with speed, with receiving ability. And now you get a Bengals offensive line that gets a little bit better. You have Joe Burrow coming back from injury, Jamar Chase coming in, who should help this offense. An offense that should be one of the highest volume offenses in the NFL for that touchdown upside. And I think Joe Mixon's going to create a massive, massive difference at the running back position in 2021 and lead a lot of people to championship.
I love it, man. He's a locked and loaded RB1 stud, no question about it. And even if you look at his efficiency woes from last season, what we do know about Mixon is the volume's going to be there, man. Even take out that Jacksonville game last year where he had 42 fantasy points. He had the 2 touchdowns. He had 6 targets. There were other games like against Baltimore, 24 carries, 8 targets. Week 1 last year, 19 carries, 2 targets. I mean, that's exactly the type of usage and workload that you're looking for. And Mixon was getting that consistently. Just hope that the efficiency can improve. And One more thing to note about the Bengals, and it's interesting because we talked about the comparisons with Cincinnati and Dallas, the way their offenses are structured, the player personnel that they have. One of the really interesting points for Mixon is that he saw the 5th most light boxes last year. 60% of his carries were against light fronts, meaning less than 7 defenders in the box, which is just fantastic to see. That's another small cookie crumb that we could follow that tells us the efficiency should improve behind those O-line moves.